Hello, good morning, welcome. Welcome to a speech that is not a speech. Welcome to a speech that says cyber and it's not cyber. Welcome to a speech that says beers and it's not about beers. So you can leave to have breakfast and that's it. Okay, so goodbye. No, just kidding. So I would like to say thank you to Roman for their initiative. I had never thought about coming along to give a speech about something that is not my specialty, so to speak. And I have a colleague that will be with us. He's Pablo Vera, and he can introduce himself. And, well, he's going to explain how we have reached to this point. Good morning, everybody. So first of all, I would like to say thank you to the organizers and hosters for giving us the opportunity of giving the speech. Everything happened after talking to Roman. We explained this project, and he told me, well, maybe we could deal with this from the lateral thinking point of view in the cyber world, but from a discipline that has nothing to do. It emerged from a group of friends. We have Javier Bajero and Jesus Merida. And now let me explain how this project emerged. What do we want to accomplish? What are we accomplishing right now? And we kick it off. So, as I was telling you, it came from the idea of lateral thinking and the relationship with this world. This comes from the speeches and the works by Eduardo de Bono, who was studying some decision-making processes, information collection in order to make decisions. He was a psychologist from Malta, and he wrote a book where he compiled all this information on a book that is called New Think, the Use of Lateral Thinking. And he says that the problem solving can be dealt with from a very canonical point of view and a very logic point of view, following the very logic steps, or trying to increase that spectrum. Now there are many organizations that have multidisciplinary teams in order to have a wider spectrum, to have a wider geography, and the relationship it has with the world of beers, cyber, and so on and so forth. I think that lateral thinking to me is almost the same as hacker mindset. So as every idea, it has a motivation and an origin. In this case, there's a double motivation and double origin. There's the magical part, and part that is based on India, that happened to me personally when I was in India. Spiritual, it was spiritual travel. I was not there to have peyote and those type of things. It was I just wanted to enjoy New Delhi. It's a very small city, 4 streets, 35 million inhabitants. So they always told us, please never go through that street. You can't go through that street. The Indian people told us not to go through that street because it was very genuine. What did we do? We went there, of course. And something very, very weird happened there. We were talking to quite weird people, but we are even weirder to them. They take pictures with you. And suddenly, we went into a store and we found a gentleman with the goggles that do with a very thick goggle, with very thick goggles, and we want some earrings. I said, no, I won't sell you any earrings. So the person that was with me started to pour in oil with a stone, and I was sitting down there. It was, I can't believe it. I've been walking all day long, and this can't be happening to me. And he started to say things like, for example, hey, you don't have siblings, your father left you when you were a kid, you work at the sector, are you fucking kidding me? Where's the fucking camera? No, there was no camera, everything was real. It could be 50%, you know how this works, 50%, 60-40, but anyway, that called my attention, and he looked at me and he said, hey, now it will be your turn, no worries. And she looked at me, she took my hand. No, she didn't take my hand. She didn't pour oil, but she said, well, you have a good life, you have a good work, but do you know what you have to do in your life to be happy, to be even happier? I said, well, I don't know. She said, to make your own beer. He was like, oh my God. So this man is God. India, a country where there's no alcohol culture. If you ever gone to an Indian restaurant, maybe you've had kingfisher and cobra, because you can wash your glasses with that. That's almost water. Well, if you go to the beach, that's very good for the sand. But anyway, it was very curious to me, and it was like, well, I don't have any T-shirt about beer, and it was a little bit striking to me. And I told to all my colleagues, and I told them, well, this has happened to me. We have to make beer. And my friends told me, hey, what did you have there? I want some. Was that peyote, or was it a normal touristic experience? No, normal experience. So from there on, there was some kind of change in mindset in the group. And there was another motivation point with that beer idea, and it was this report that is going to be explained by Pablo. Last year, during Secromatica, there was a presentation that was quite impactful for us that was related to the CISO's health that can be extensive to the professionals of our sector, how stress affects mental health. And there was something that called our attention, and the figure grows compared to 2019. It's a nominated report that says that almost 25% of these CISOs that can be extended to the others use alcohol. Well, they say drugs. We know that we are speaking about drugs and different drugs in order to hold stress. So, well, these people are using alcohol and external factors to overcome this. So, the magical prediction of Gonzalo in India, together with this concern about alcohol, made us think, and it happened. And we said, well, instead of, well, we don't want them to have drugs. We wanted to take alcohol. No, the fact that the 17% we have gone up to 23 is not our fault. Okay, so what happened? One symbol, another symbol, one concept, the other concept. So what happened to us? It was like let's make a beer. So somebody said, no way. The other one, oh yeah, hold the beer. We're going there. And at that moment, I recalled that Indian guy that said, many people will tell you not to do this, but don't listen to them. Keep on moving. And this sentence of, you won't dare, only has two results in life. First of all, the things that you're going to do could be that are a complete mess. And maybe you regret all your life of not doing it. So we said, okay, fuck them, we'll do it. So what did we do? You need to have some bullet points and some values that you need to develop. First of all was, well, we need to do something that makes us have fun and makes us enjoy the process. It wasn't very relaxed. I mean, we've laughed a lot and we have got drunk a lot, but it's a little bit stressing, of course. And on the other hand, it was like, why can't we create a community related to beer? A community related to the beer, to the cyber world, sorry. There are people that like handcraft beer. So it was like, well, we need to do something that doesn't cost any money to the community, because otherwise it wouldn't be an ethical project in the sense of saying, well, we want it to cost us less money as possible. But some people think that this of handcraft beer is about making beer at home, at the bathtub. And that, well, I think that there are people that do so, but this is expensive. It's a methodology, it's a known methodology, and it needs a natural process without additives, without preservatives, without extra carbonation, etc. And as it was trendy, and the world really sucks right now because everything sucks if you watch the news, well, depending on what you see and how you see it, we wanted to do something sustainable with the environment, with the social environment, because apart from that, we believe on local trade. And the process and the project has always been based on the supply chain companies that come from here, from Spain, from Madrid, Catalonia, and from different parts of the country. So how do we do this, Pablo? So we had different options. It was like we could make it simple and we would learn less and it would be less interesting and less fun. We buy beer and that's it. And we put a tag or we give it for free and that's it. But we decided on the other option. We said, well, let's do this. Let's make our own beer. Let's decide what we want to do. Let's get into the process. Let's understand how the manufacturing process works, distribution, and so on and so forth. And we said, come on, let's jump on it. Let's take the leap. And we decided to do this as nomads. I mean, to have a beer factory or to have a brew factory to make thousands of liters, well, it really costs us money. So we said, well, let's visit in 7 factories, let's see how they work, and we don't have to manufacture you don't have to make the beer directly. Well, when we do it this way, is we don't have money to make a factory, and we can choose a beer depending on what we learn and the results that we get with the beer at the communities. So there are some common ingredients within the lateral thinking. These are common ingredients within the hacker mindset and within our profession. I think that you know that. Maybe you can be a hacker in your profession, and what do you need for that? You need motivation. You really need to do. You need to be willing to do things. You need to have that open mind in order to see different points of view. So you need to be curious. If you are not a curious person, you won't do anything. You would be fucked up then. And there's a point of passion. Passion, what makes you get deeper into things. Even it comes a time when there is some kind of obsession in terms of knowledge, to know something else and to take an additional leap. And these are the ingredients that we've used in the process, so that in a very short time we've been able to do something tangible in another sector. So we started doing some kind of OSINT. It was, okay, so how are we going to do it? What are we going to do with this? So it doesn't matter whether we use softwares, or we use anything else. So if there's a methodology that has similar stages of a pen testing or red team, depending on what we want, it's useful and it's applicable. So doing OSINT with a small Google Docs, we saw that there were around 66,000 results in terms of documents that talked about brewery factory. And we had to learn how to do it. We didn't do. So we took some PhDs work, some thesis, etc. And it was like, well, there are different companies. We have the Pew House. We have the different type of fermenting systems, maceration, 200, 300, 400 pages. Because of that point of a passion, of obsession, this is why we want to learn the whole process. So we said, well, at least we know what we were playing at. So what's the next thing we have to do? So we moved to the footprinting stage, and we said, okay, as handcraft made beer in Spain, there are 600 factories. So it's like, where are they? Where are they? Maybe there are more than 600. So we made a research, and we said, well, let's pick the best factories. And this was a thorough job, and let's see how we can get into that world without looking as without trying to without making so much noise. Okay, so we started with the scanning stage, and we created a brand, an image, our register, our domain, our website, at every single level. It looked like a real handcrafted brewery. So we started to do some social engineering, and we started to call the breweries. What were we doing? We were sassing information. So it was like, yeah, we are CiberBeers. We want to have 2,000 liters batches. And it was like, wow. So they started to give us information that was very useful to say, hey, okay, so we don't have to go this way. Well, this brewery is not very good. The other one told me that this one is not very good. And this was perfect to be in line with the next stage. The next stage, that is the ranking. We had a meeting with brewer masters. They are some kind of gurus. No, I'm just kidding. No, these are people that are wearing their beards, their trousers, their t-shirts, their spotted t-shirts. We tried to dress like as them, but it didn't work. So we started to visit some breweries. You go there with your t-shirt of CiberBeers. You go there. And we started to see factories in Murcia, in Madrid. We started to see breweries in Barcelona, in Segovia, and in Cantabria. It is for the project. So when you go to the brewery, you need to try, you have to test a product. And that's a part that was very useful for us. After visiting, after talking to them, and after them wanting to help us, we have seen some mistakes. And it is where we started with the ranking stage. There are some, for example, there are some bugs. For example, at the production stage, well, this is an emerging world in California where the handcrafted brewers were born. They've been doing this for 25 years. So they only drink handcrafted beer without knowing that. In Spain, it's very difficult because the big companies don't want them to take some market share. So there were problems in storage and distribution. As any product that appears and it's not mature, this has problems. The quality of the end product, we found some breweries that would be really surprising for you. They relabel their beers and do things that you say, wow, this is not good. No, it exists. And commitment and seriousness. You don't know the world that you can find in a bottle. The format of the bottle is a world by itself. The label can be vinyl, could be paper, double layer paper, cardboard, the plate. In order to make the plate, there are 8 different techniques, so you need to dive into them. And what we've seen is that there's no professionalism and there's no seriousness in these stages. And I start thinking, well, maybe in our work, if we screw it up as they do, well, we would be fired. But well, there are sectors and sectors. So the part that has to do with exploiting, what we had to do is, well, we had to create a good recipe. There are people that don't like beer, and there are other people that like beer, that would test different types of beers, and we want to create recognizable beer and a drinkable beer that could be accepted by a great part of society. So at the beginning, we were in San Francisco drinking beer, and we said, well, let's do an American pale ale. It's bitter beer, and we said, well, let's do this beer in this way. And what we wanted from the very beginning was to, as we're a non-profit company, it was like, well, let's make a high-quality premium beer so that people can enjoy it. So we had no problems with the expenditures. So 3 maltas, and let's do it this way. Let's do it with hops, with a good amount of hops. So we chose a balance between malta and hops that has given a very thorough result between the taste and, well, you imagine what the brewery said when we said, no, just pour some more hops. We're not a company. We don't have a selling channel. So this would go to another place. These people said, well, these guys are very weird, but we were quite cute, so it worked. At the beginning, we said, well, let's make beer. How much beer? Because we have to sell this, and the money was coming out of our pockets. So non-profit, that's fine, but we don't want to lose a great amount of money. So we made a decision in terms of saying, well, let's make 1,000 liters. This is 3,000 bottles of beer that people drink, of course, but if you give them for free, everybody will drink it, but you have to recover that money. So we started by 1,000, and I think that we have made 5,000 liters of beer. So we are starting to be aware of the size, but these are decisions that were made on the fly. At the beginning, we started to use some techniques. We did a persistent XS. We took 2 American beers from North California, and we put a label, this label. If you attended the RSA conference, you had the chance to see this. Yesterday was 1 week ago. It has San Anderson Valley beer from California. And this is from Sierra Nevada, from Snappa. And it was, okay, so this, well, this is a non-profit, and we have to use some ninja techniques because otherwise we couldn't make beer for the community. At the RSA conference, it would have been impossible to have the beer there, although we had it in the US. To bring the beer from Madrid to there would have been crazy, but we wouldn't have the possibility of taking it in there. There was a party of our beer at the RSA in San Francisco, but well, that was the idea, to put also a little bit pirate. He has made a very good explanation. So things worked. We were unable to have the admin password, so we made a lateral move, and we went to another brewery, and at that lateral move, we were able to scale some privileges, and we felt the owner of the whole factory. We said, well, we have the absolute control, and this factory rocks, so this factory does things that are important and interesting. These are the same concepts that we're using on a daily basis at many of your companies or services that you have doing hacking. So it's the same mindset. The fact of studying how to build a brewery has helped us choosing where to manufacture it, because there are factories, as we've said, where we have improved the manufacturing process, the quality of the product, because the factory had some things, some machines, and manufacturing process that made the product to have these characteristics. So the only way of knowing whether there's an advantage or not is to have a good knowledge of the product and the process. So this is why we studied how to set a brewery, and it has been really helpful for us to pick another brewery, and we have been forced to, well, the concept of nomade is, well, I'm moving because I can or because I have to move. In this case, the first brewery was closed in the manufacturing process, so it was like, how would be the malware that we put in the first brewery, because it's closed today. I'm not joking, they've closed. We were the last ones in producing that brewery. Now they're looking for other places to make the beer. So this is what we have. Anyway, Pablo, I think that you can speak about the image. I think it's important. Yeah, from the beginning, well, first of all, because we like it and we want to do things in a good way, and we have some friends that are designers that do not charge anything. Well, we pay them in beer. That we would have given it for free anyway. But we wanted an image that could be cool, that could be recognizable, that could have personality, and that had a good quality. This is the label and the plate. Many handcrafted brewers that have been in the market for many years do not tailor-made the plates. We told them that we wanted to do it. It is really expensive. So they said, no, I will leave it in black, or, well, you have to abide by some regulations. So we got this design that, well, this artichoke has an explanation. It is hops. It's hops, and it's a lotus flower that is related to Gonzalo's traveling to India. So we fulfilled the regulations, and this was the image. So we wanted to have this image in our mind, and to have some caps, some T-shirts. We have the sanitary register, by the way. If you want this T-shirt that really fits you very well, you can buy it outside. And the idea is to create an experience. Community experience, to create community, the parties that we organize, that we will talk about in a minute, well, to have some elements that can help us identify the brand. This edition will be premiered today at this event at Rooted. You'll be able to find it upstairs if you want information. I think there's a table with a lady there with some information. I don't know about what, but you have it there. And it's true that, let me anticipate about this, thanks to Rooted and Terlogic brings their beer from home, Estrella Galicia, but they've bought a tap with our beer that will be for free for everybody that wants to try it. At the same time, where the people of Charlogic are, there will be a beer brewer master that will be able to explain the product, the production process, what every hop contributes, every malta, what they contribute. So the geek level that you want to have. So this picture was on the first day of the initial presentation. This started at the beginning of November, so this is a very young product, and we have accomplished many things in a very short time, thanks to the ingredients that we've seen at the beginning. I don't know if you want to say anything else about the taps, because I know that you've worked very hard on that. It's not only about making the beer, but also how to pour it. There's a world of different types of taps, connectors, and so on and so forth. In my case, I've learned a lot, and we think that we have taps that work, okay? So, conclusions. The final Red Team report, what have we accomplished? So, a wide knowledge in just 2 months of an unknown sector for us. Just with a lateral thinking, seeing things differently and with passion and really wanted to do things. Manufacturing of handcrafted beer, with more than 2,000 liters that are sold out. And the version number 2, that is the one that is being premiered here at the Rooted. We have brought 2,500 liters and some samples that we have had to throw away. Well, you know what I mean by that. That we don't throw away anything, mate. So we are at different events. Some time ago, we only had the idea in our mind. We weren't be able to be at CNMC. You've been able to see some roll-ups. We are here at the Rooted, and we'll do some more things with Rooted. The San Francisco RSAC was very interesting. We have been the first Spanish beer being there. But our image was there. People were able to ask us things. And at the Telefonica booth where they said, well, next year we'll bring more beer because it has been a great success in terms of attendance. Well, everybody wants free beer. It's easy. And we have many more events, but especially the most important thing of this project is the fact of being able to offer free top quality beer for the community, to make people involved, to make them participate in the project so that they can be part of the project, and we are open to that. And that's a great goal that we have with this initiative, or with this lateral thinking project, and without any kind of doubt. As for legal purposes, the health authorities make us remind you that you need to drink responsibly, but you have to drink hackers. Thank you. Questions, doubts, concerns? We want to see you for the questions, please. Today we have free beer in the evening, and tomorrow we'll have it too. Don't go there to have some pies for free. So, how can we collaborate with the project? What can we do? Well, as we've said, we don't want to earn money with this. And everything we get will be to improve the beer or the experiences. When we have a party, we'll have to have better food, to have people to have a good time. So we're having the support of many friends, many sponsors that think that this project of creating community is good, and we are having their economic support. We sell the beer, we sell merchandising, and that's the idea, to support the project. And when we have a party, it's not the point that we only have the people that are invited by that manufacturer. We make it extensive to the community, and that's the idea. So we are really thankful, especially to you, for giving us this forum, in having this support, because we need it. Let's see whether we can recover the money that we have lost and drunk. Any question? Yes, hello? Gonzalo, Pablo, congratulations. It has been really interesting. And I had a question about for you, Gonzalo. Are you really happier now? Because the project seems to be highly complex. Anna, you see that I have less hair, right? Yeah. Well, we've gone through very tough times, as always happens with any project. If things were easy, everybody would do it. It would be already done. But the point is that, yeah, I'm really happier because I've learned something, and I've been able to know something that I liked as a consumer, but now I can drink from the production point of view. So I'm in charge of the production roles, and I have some internal gratitude. If this answers your question, maybe tomorrow I'll join another sector with this lateral thinking, and I come here to explain to you. But now I'm very happy. So it is cumbersome, but it is fun. And we've decided that at the board of directors meetings we won't have beer. So the first meeting started with beer, and they took us to make a little bit hasty decision, so to speak. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you very much to both of you. Please enjoy the pies and be punctual.